Hello there, I'm Raymond Goh and this is Nightline. Our top stories today. MACC begins probe on 19 million ringgit alleged payment to PAS. And authorities seize 3 million Aramin 5 pills worth 60 million ringgit in Port Klang. Good morning. Racial identity should not be used as a yardstick in measuring a person's economic success. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir said this was because every individual, regardless of skin colour, has equal opportunity to be successful.
Kerajaan persekutuan yang ada sekarang ini akan berusaha merapatkan hubungan antara miskin dan kaya supaya kekayaan negara kita ini dapat diagih secara saksama antara semua kaum, suku kaum di Malaysia ini. Inilah sesuatu perkara yang perlu kita usaha supaya jangan kita samakan identiti kaum dengan kaya miskin.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this in his keynote address at the Perhimpunan Perdana Perpaduan 2019 in Georgetown, Pulau Pinang on Friday. The assembly was held in conjunction with the Unity Day and the 15th anniversary of Pulau Pinang State Consultative Goodwill Council. The Prime Minister said the spirit of unity displayed by Malaysians since independence had enabled the country to withstand the tragic race riots that took place in 1969. He added Malaysia would be able to achieve the developed nation status by 2025 if the unity among its citizens is preserved. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has started its probe on PAS regarding allegations that the party had received 90 million ringgit from One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB funds. This after 3 present and former leaders of the party were summoned to the MACC offices to have their statements recorded. The trio comprised of former PAS Deputy President, Dato' Dr. Nasharuddin Mat Isa, its former Vice President, Dato' Husam Musa, and current party Central Committee member Nik Muhammad Abduh Nik Aziz. Dato' Dr. Nasharuddin arrived at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya at around 8:40 a.m. He was spotted leaving the building around noon for Friday prayers before continuing with investigations.
Saya amat puas hatilah dengan SPRM dan pertemuan tadi, dan harapan kitanya adalah supaya kita biarkan SPRM untuk melaksanakan tugas mereka. Dan saya amat berterima kasih kerana diberi peluang kepada SPRM hari ini untuk membuat penjelasan dan juga dengan bukti-buktinya. Apabila SPRM diberikan ruang selepas ini untuk membuat siasatan, saya harap semua pihak, contohnya mereka yang mengatakan ada bukti dan sebagainya, untuk tampil ke depan dan bawa bukti-bukti tersebut.
It was reported in 2017 that Dato' Dr. Nasharuddin had allegedly received funds from SRC International Sdn Bhd, a former 1MDB subsidiary. The former PAS leader, however, denied the allegation, calling it baseless and irrelevant. He added that the statements against him were also a gross defamation to both him and the Islamic Party. PAS Central Committee member Nik Muhammad Abduh Nik Abdulaziz was also cited at the Kelantan MACC office to have his statement recorded regarding allegations that the party had received money from 1MDB.
Saya memberi keterangan atas beberapa perkara dan saya dipanggil ini kerana ada laporan pasal 90 juta itulah. So saya fikir mereka yang buat laporan terhadap saya tu salah orang kot. So saya buat kenyataan saya tak ada maklumat pasal 90 juta. Itu je. Pasal rakaman tu dia ada tanya juga. Dan saya jawab pendeklah benda tu tak ada kaitan. Dengan saya, dan saya dah jawab sebelum ni bahawa benda tu adalah karut, fitnah dan sebagainya.
Meanwhile, Amanah's Vice President, Dr. Husam Musa, who was among those summoned by the MACC, however, did not show up at the anti-graft office on Friday. He explained that he was called in for his previous role as PAS Vice President, but he was not informed of the matter despite MACC officers visiting his residence in Kelantan earlier this week. Dr. Husam, however, said he's ready to make a date with the MACC and assist with a 90 million ringgit payment investigation. In Terengganu, PAS President Datuk Sri Abdul Hadi Awang wants the MACC to not just investigate the party's finances, but also that of all other political parties. He also stressed that his party would give its full cooperation to the MACC, urging the Commission to exercise fairness by giving similar treatment to other political parties, particularly DAP and Parti Amanah Rakyat.
Tanya parti lain lah mana dia nak dapat duit. Jangan tuding jaya pada kita saja. Kita ada sumber kita. Parti lain mana sumber? Supaya tahu. Cawangan di banyak mana? Dia tak ada cawangan. PAN mana ada cawangan? DAP mana ada cawangan? Dia bertanding begitu aja. Dari mana duit dia dapat? Itu kena siasat. Bukan saja kita. Kena siasat semua.
He stressed that PAS did not fear the MACC's investigations because most of its activities were funded by donations from its more than 1 million members. The party also welcomed the probe because it wanted to make sure that it is clean. The investigation comes after PAS announced it had settled their defamation suit against Sarawak Report editor Claire Rucastle-Brown, who claimed the party had received money from UMNO. Commenting on the out-of-court settlement, Datuk Sri Hadi said both parties agreed to drop the case, and PAS views this as a moral victory for them. The Royal Malaysian Customs Department Narcotics Branch, in collaboration with the Bukit Aman Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department, seized 3 million Aramin 5 pills, valued at 60 million ringgit, in an operation at Northport in Port Klang, Selangor. Customs Director General Datuk Sri T. Subramaniam said in the January 31st raid, the drugs were found in 1,248 motorcycle exhaust pipes in one of 2 containers which had arrived from Taipei, Taiwan.
Seorang suspek telah ditahan dan telah direman selama 5 hari, ya, sehingga 13 Februari. Jadi siasatan masih lagi diteruskan dan anggaran nilai dada yang kita rampas ni adalah dianggarkan sekitar 60 juta, ya, yang mana agak besar, dan sekiranya ia terlepas ke pasaran, ia boleh digunakan, ya, oleh hampir 300,000 individu.
He added the seizure, the biggest haul so far this year, was made possible with the help of sniffer dogs, which detected the drugs during the operation. It was understood that the drugs arrived at the port in a 20-foot container last December, with no one coming forward to claim it. The case is being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. The government has implemented comprehensive risk reduction measures across the country by taking into account human, socio-economic and environmental concerns. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail said this was important because disaster management in Malaysia, especially in Sabah, had to contend with a multi-hazard scenario of having to deal with floods, landslides as well as earthquakes.
Tindakan pencegahan daripada mencipta risiko bencana yang baru melaksanakan program-program mitigasi bagi mengurangkan risiko bencana sedia ada, menambah baik perancangan kesiapsiagaan dan tindak balas bencana serta pemulihan semula yang lebih baik selepas bencana adalah inisiatif yang wajar diaplikasikan oleh semua pihak dalam kitaran pengurusan risiko bencana yang komprehensif.
Dato Sri Dr. Wan Aziza said this at the presentation of National Disaster Relief Aid for fire victims in Putatan near Kota Kinabalu in Sabah on Friday. She said the federal government, through the Department of Irrigation and Drainage, and with the collaboration of the other departments such as the Minerals and Geoscience Department, Meteorological Department and Agriculture Department, was in the process of conducting an integrated feasibility study in the Kota Belud district. This follows two past situations in the district which saw a lack of water resources during the drought and excess water that led to floods during the wet season. The Inland Revenue Board, LHDN, has agreed to reduce penalty rates for taxpayers who have overseas bank accounts but with income generated in Malaysia. The LHDN said they have begun receiving information on ownership of overseas bank accounts under the Automatic Exchange of Information, AEOI, of the Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, since September last year. In a statement on Friday, the agency said that letters and emails have already been sent out and issued targeting taxpayers with overseas bank accounts and those who have failed to file their tax returns as required. It added that taxpayers in this category are requested to contact the LHDN and report their income. Last year, the LHDN introduced the Special Voluntary Declaration Program, SPVD, for taxpayers who have not declared income generated from sources within Malaysia and kept in overseas bank accounts. Under the SVDP, the government has agreed to reduce the penalty from 300% to 10% if the income is reported by March 31st and 15% if reported by June 30th this year. Dato Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak has been charged again with 3 more counts of money laundering involving 47 million ringgit. The former Prime Minister pleaded not guilty to all the charges, which were read out separately before Sessions Court Judge Azman Ahmad. The court allowed Dato Sri Najib personal bond on all 3 charges. In Putrajaya, police obtained an order to remand 3 people in connection with the discovery of a dead newborn baby girl in a trash bin in a residential area on Thursday. Magistrate Ahmad Afiq Hassan ordered 2 of the suspects, a 43-year-old man and a 17-year-old boy, to be held for 2 days. Another suspect, a 17-year-old girl, was ordered to be in remand for 4 days. The remand proceeding was held at the Maternity Centre at Precinct 8 in Putrajaya. The Malaysian Army on Friday confirmed that a case of a senior officer allegedly punching his subordinate who was guarding the main entrance gate at the Sungai Udang military camp Malacca occurred on February 4th. The Army issued a statement saying that an investigation panel had been set up and the witnesses identified. Coming up after the breather, action from the auto segment with Sabrina Zainal. Welcome back to Nightline. Nightline's auto segment continues this time with Sabrina Zainal moving a step closer to master the advanced driving skills. Well, this time she had to learn how to maneuver through a winding course of traffic cones. Did she manage to impress her instructor? Well, I don't know. Let's find out together.
Welcome back to Hot on Wheels Advanced Driving. Sabrina Zainal, and this is Azza Jasmine, my co-host and instructor. So it's been our 2 weeks since our last lesson, but it feels good to be back, right? It's very hot today, but let's quickly recap what we've done so far. We've covered hands and feet placement, the basic components of a car, and adjusting your mirrors correctly. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so today I hear we are going to be doing some defensive driving.
Today we are going to transfer. Before this, we're talking about the theory. Now we are going to do the practical, hand placement, maneuvering of the car. And thank you so much for MAET for giving the opportunity for us to use a very huge parking space. And thank you to Proton for giving a very beautiful Iris, the facelifted model. And today is going to be the practical, and Sabrina is going to do the hands-on here. let's go. I think we are ready.
I'm
Are you
ready?
ready?
Yep, let's go. So, tell me what we're going to do today.
Okay, today you have learned the theory on the driving techniques, but today is the first lesson on the field. We call it field work. We have rows of cone. This is the maneuver through the slalom. So what you're going to do, we have to go through in between the slalom, through all the slalom, and then make a U-turn back, and then we are going to start using this stopwatch from here, and then you come back. This is something like a small time attack to ensure that before you learn how to do a proper driving techniques, and later on, once you have done, we have, let's say, clock in the time attack, I'll do some techniques to teach you, and then we'll do another time. So this will determine how fast you are going through the slalom. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go! Later, I'll teach you a proper way. Of course, you know that theoretically you know how to hold the steering, but this is I'll teach you, and then you see I'll do the demo. You teach you, and then normally you can shift for a few seconds. But the most important thing, you have to make it very swift. Once we have doing it swiftly, then you can feel the car is moving. Okay, on, off, turn, on, off. Even if you do not want to on, off and turn, you have to ensure, if you do not want to on and off, you have to go at a certain speed. But the most important thing is you have to a bit struggle on the steering. That's why the sitting position is very important, because you do not want to move your body, but you move your steering.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Keep your body.
Remember the wrist?
Yeah.
If you're sitting too far away, then you can't really push. So you have to move ahead to ensure that you have to make one full lock on. Lock. Okay? That's why the sitting position and the hand placement is very important.
Stay in my seat.
If you are going fast enough, you just let it flow with the speed.
Okay, so I don't have to...
Yeah, on and off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Gas, off, gas, off, gas, off, gas, off. Just put your speed. Good, okay, good. You brake, good, okay, turn. Get the rhythm, okay. Gas, gas, off, gas, off, gas, off, good, gas, off, good. Okay, good. 29.87.
Alright, so the best time I got so far was 29.87 seconds! Yes, to me! Definitely a big difference from the 45 seconds that I started off with. So that's all for today's episode. Be sure to tune in again next week as I attempt to catch a skid. You won't want to miss it. See you on Hot on Wheels Advanced Driving on Nightline.
When we next come back on Nightline, fire at Flamingo Academy in Rio kills 10. Stay tuned. On to the foreign front now. The eldest sister of Thailand's king, Princess Ratana Mahidol, has joined the race to be the country's next prime minister. She has been declared as a leading prime ministerial candidate for a party loyal to ousted Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra in elections scheduled for March 24th. Local media reported that Princess Ratana, aged 67, has registered as a candidate for the Thai Raksa Chart party. The unprecedented move, described as a political earthquake that could deal a blow to plans by pro-military parties to stay in power, also broke the long-standing tradition of Thai royalty staying out of politics. She will face coup leader and head of Thailand's military junta, who is also the current Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, nominated by the Palang Pracharat Party. The election is seen as the first chance for Thailand to return to democracy after 5 years under military rule. Meanwhile, most of the Thai public were excited with the princess's prime minister candidacy nomination news. Princess Ubo Ratana relinquished her royal titles in 1972 after marrying an American, but she is still treated by officials and the Thai public as a member of the royal family. In Brazil, a fire early on Friday at the Flamengo Football Club training center in Rio de Janeiro killed at least 10 and wounded 3 others. The fire reportedly broke out in a dorm where young players sleep at the Ninho de Urubu training ground in western Rio. Police said the Flamengo youth team was sleeping at the training center when the fire started. However, it was not known if any of the players were hurt in the blaze, as firefighters were still identifying the victims. Like many professional clubs in Brazil, Flamengo has a youth development program for promising young football players in their early teens. The state-of-the-art training center, which had recently undergone expansion, provides accommodation where many players stay at the facilities while training. Australian and US authorities announced that they had seized nearly $1 billion worth of methamphetamines on Friday in a bust that revealed new ties between Mexican cartels and Aussie biker gangs. The Australian Federal Police, AFP, said that a joint investigation led the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement to uncover 1.7 tons of drugs in California last month. U.S. authorities said the illicit cargo, with a street value of $900 million, was hidden in 2 shipping containers carrying audio equipment bound for Australia. After a series of raids this month, 2 U.S. nationals and 4 Australians were arrested this week in the Melbourne and Sydney areas. They face various charges, including attempting to import illegal drugs, and face maximum sentences of life in prison in Australia if convicted. AFP said Australia's street prices and prevalent drug use plays a draw card for organised crime. Colombian and Mexican cartels have long looked to local partners to open new markets for their produce and shift legal risk. Australian police indicated that the country's biker gangs with deep involvement in organised crime were willing middlemen. Still to come, action from the Super League after this. Stay with us. Sports football now. 2 Super League matches were played on Friday night. In Ipoh, Perak were held to a 1-1 draw with Kedah, while JDT trounced Kuala Lumpur 4-1 in Johor. Gonzalo Cabrera converted a penalty in the 45th minute to put JDT in front before Shafiq Ahmad doubled the tally in the 52nd minute. Brazilian forward Diogo Luis Santo made it 3-0 6 minutes later. Although Silvano Dominic Convalheiros pulled one back for Kuala Lumpur, Azrif Nasruk Haq scored JDT's 4th goal in the dying minutes to put the result beyond doubt and make it 2 wins out of 2 for the Southern Tigers. Dutch kite surfer Kevin Langery won a record 3rd title at the King of the Air kite surfing event in South Africa's southern city of Cape Town on Wednesday. We leave you now with visuals of surfers performing stunning acrobatic tricks as we wrap up Nightline this time around. I'm Raymond Goh. Thank you for watching and have a good weekend ahead.